We broke the mega exclusive of government proposal to sell IDBI stake sale to LIC, and ahead of a crucial board meet of the insurance regulator IRDA. What to expect, how the deal structure is likely to be. Let's go across to my colleague Vijay Iyer. He has some exclusive details. Vijay, take it away. Tell us what to expect.
Pankaj, a very good morning to you and all our viewers. As you're rightly pointing out, we indeed put out that blueprint, how it would look like yesterday late evening. Now, what we understand is that the proposal with IRDA board today, which is scheduled to meet later in the day, would include an infusion of close to 13,000 crores from LIC directly into IDBI Bank and not to the government or via the government. That is the first aspect. Secondly, against that, the government will issue preferential equity to LIC, and that is where government's stake proportionately would fall below 51%, and LIC from the current level of around 10% would go around somewhere 40 to 41%. Now, what would happen is that as and when things improve and the balance sheet gets strong, LIC can go ahead and sell the stake and thereby make the monies or that they have pumped in at this point of time, which would be around 13,000 crore. Now, why this would be important? Because at this point of time, the regulation says no life insurance companies can invest more than 15% in a single listed entity. That is where the exemption has been sought from IRDAI as an insurance regulator. That exemption will be given. That is what we have understood. But IRDAI will be very clear. LIC perhaps will have to also bring down, say, in a time span of 5 to 7 years, the stake down to 15%. So in this way, the purpose of infusing cash into IDBI Bank would be taken care of. At the same time, LIC will have a nominee sitting on IDBI's board to have an overlook, but directly they would not be taking care of the day-to-day operations or the management. Rather, they would only have a couple of nominees sitting on IDBI board. So that is where this is once again would be treated as one of those investments that LIC is making, which traditionally it has been making when it comes to PSU banks, and also would serve government's whole purpose of cash crunch, because government directly don't have to put in their money. So that is where today's IRDAI board meet would be crucial, and perhaps, if I could say, one of the most sought after and watched IRDAI board meet off lately. But this would be the large blueprint where LIC directly would pump in money and would be issued preferential equity by the government for the money that they are pumping in.
So essentially, LIC will become the promoter, and this will also lead to some specific benefits for IDBI, because they could become, largely if it's a subsidiary that IDBI would become, they would go ahead and become one of the largest insurance seller as well.
Let's understand, Pankaj, in terms of largest, yes, technically because of the shareholding they would, but it's very clear that they would not be taking over the management. It would only be a nominee of LIC which would be sitting on IDBI board, as they have been doing in many other boards where they have the stake, say like ICICI Bank, or also LIC chairman himself sits where they hold close to 10%. So in that sense, they would not be directly taking charge, because that has been the worry, and that is where perhaps questions would be raised on LIC. But as far as the bank assurance goes, currently also they use the channel, so perhaps yes, they would use, but one will have to wait and see would LIC Housing Finance someday be used or going forward be merged. That is something which would be too speculative at this point of time. But for now, the cash flow will be taken care by LIC, which government needs to be infused. At the same time, they would be given preferential, which perhaps going forward, once things improve and balance sheet improve, they can sell and get back their money that they have pumped in at this point of time.
Right. So just to get things clear, Vijay, they will be the largest shareholders, but they will not take the promoter seat at the company, just a board nomination and probably an advice how to go ahead.
Absolutely, Pankaj, because at the end of the day, if they take the promoter tag, clearly also they will be in charge of the management, and that is where questions are being raised. Is LIC in the business of running banks, because they don't have prior experience or the expertise? And also the question is, would it be right for LIC to pump in the policyholders' money like this and say take charge of a bank? So what we understand when we speak to various senior management of LIC, as well as the advice taken from former, say, past chairmen, that would not be the case. This is once again LIC would bail out IDBI Bank in the time of crisis, which they have been doing in the past also at many times when government needed. But clearly, this would be an stopgap arrangement, perhaps from a medium-term perspective, and they would not be taking charge as a promoter or anything. It would be purely an investment that they would be doing against shares that they would be getting.
Thank you so much, Vijay, for this exclusive story. We look forward to the board meet and what comes out on that. Let's also get in Ruchi Bhatia now, who broke the story of IDBI LIC. Ruchi, what is the government side of the story and how important is today's decision for LIC and IDBI Bank?
Today is going to be an important day not only for LIC but also for IDBI Bank. Remember, the insurance regulator IRDA will be taking up this crucial issue in its board meeting today. In fact, we're given to understand that the government is pushing that LIC should pick up about 43% stake in IDBI Bank. They currently have about 10% stake and another 40 to 43% stake that they're looking to pick up for almost over 11,000 crore rupees would mean that they will become the majority shareholder in this case. Remember, this has been a proposal that the government has been pushing for a very long time. Remember, the government had been talking about privatizing IDBI Bank in one of its budget speeches back in 2016, and now looks like that proposal is finally on the table. In fact, it is very important to note that there are two reasons for it. Firstly, the government hopes that if LIC picks up the stake at a later stage, they can of course look at selling their stake, and they believe that while IDBI Bank is one of the worst performing banks right now, given the revival plan that it is undergoing, it will show a turnaround very soon. So apart from that, remember, IDBI Bank is also one of the banks that is not under the Bank Nationalization Act, and hence it is one of the easiest candidates as far as privatization process is concerned. Also, it is of course important to note the fact that LIC so far does not have a banking arm. So the idea behind picking up IDBI Bank is the fact that LIC can now foray into the banking space as well.
I think they have done a stellar job over the years in the insurance business and the housing finance business. They have also diversified into areas like mutual funds, and they have promoted good institutions. So clearly the DNA is there in LIC to actually manage good businesses. But I would agree, banking is a different ball game, and they would have to have adequate, structures to manage a bank, and therefore, but clearly we do not know from whether this is policyholders' money coming in or when they could be having surpluses in the beyond solvency margin.